Hey everyone, Mr. Abasian here. Today we are talking about how to put together the Climate Foldable. You may need some extra direction because you didn't necessarily understand all of the directions in class. You may have left early or you may be absent. This video is here to provide you a further explanation and to clarify a few things so that you will be set and ready to turn in the Climate Foldable when it's due. You'll notice with the notes that we ended up taking in class, you have your climate notes and discussion. I just want to make sure we emphasize the fact that we're working with climate zones, meaning weather over a long period of time here. And so with this long period of time that we have that's here, you'll know that every single climate zone happens all the time. It doesn't change. It's over a long period of time, and it's not like weather like you would see that's here, which is short term. So in front of you, what I'm going to ask as you're watching this video is you have out your notes that have the climate notes and discussion that was in your notebook that you took, along with your textbook and the blank sheet of paper to set up your Climate Foldable, and you'll be ready to rock and roll with me. So pause this video, go get those 3 items, and then start playing this when you're ready. Now you've got your notebook, and with that, I'd like you to flip over to this part that you took some notes on and how climate is affected by latitude. Now latitude has the most control over climate. In fact, the way that it works is this: the higher the latitude degrees, like we have a world map here, we've got the equator that runs right through here. The higher the degrees, either going north or south, the colder it becomes. So keep that in mind as you're talking about latitude and the type of control it has, whereas the closer that you get to the equator here, the more moderate the temperature is. Now, the way that we figure out latitude is through our 4 different lines that we've got that are here. We've got the Arctic Circle, the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, and the Antarctic Circle. There's specific degrees that each one of these are at that are the important lines of latitude. In fact, these 4 lines divide into the 3 different latitude zones. The first one that you have here is the tropical zone that's here. This tropical zone happens to be, if I'm looking over at the slide here, you'll notice it in yellow here. And this is the Caribbean area, South America, Africa that's here, and parts of Indonesia as well. These are your vacation spots where it's going to be moderate temperatures throughout the year because of where the sun's rays end up hitting the tropical area. It sounds exactly like it is in real life. Beautiful weather, constant temperature. But now, when I get to my second latitude zone, we call that the middle latitude zones. You'll see that in red here as they're found between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle and the Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle, the middle ones. You'll notice they're the pink reddish color that's here. Fresno, by the way, bam, right here. And so we're in the mid-latitude zones. Now, because it's a little bit further away from the equator, you're going to notice a variation in temperature. So it's going to be warm during the summer times. It's going to be cold during the winter times. You're going to see a variation of temperature, unlike the tropical. And at this point now, the last latitude zone that's south of the Antarctic Circle and north of the Arctic Circle, you're going to notice they're cold. That would be the polar or the high latitude areas. That would be blue. It's ice, it's cold, it's Russia, it's the northern parts of Canada up here, Antarctica that's around here. It's way too cold. So, those are your 3 latitude zones. Don't get those mixed up with the 4 latitude lines. So, let's now apply this. Now that you've got a little overview, let's apply this to your Climate Foldable. The blank sheet of paper that you were handed in class, or if you didn't, to take a blank sheet of paper and please fold it, or you can draw 6 boxes on the front side, and I'd like 6 boxes on the back side. Why 6? Well, when I start looking at how many climate zones, and if I've got my textbook, pages 60 and 61 here are going to be your best friend. So you can turn there, 60 and 61. If I count up the number of climate zones or the types of climate, you're going to notice there's 12 of them. You've got desert, semi-arid, Mediterranean, tropical, wet, and so on. 6 of these climate zones are on the front, 6 of them are on the back. And in fact, I would appreciate it if you were in order as you see it in the legend in your textbook here, starting with tropical wet. and working your way there. Let's zoom in a teeny bit. I'm sorry, it's a terrible scanned copy, but you have the book in front of you to make sense. All right, what do I do for every box? Well, for every box, let's zoom in. This is your requirement. You're going to need to give me the name of the climate zone. You're going to need to give me a picture here, along with describing the climate zone and just naming the latitude zone or zones. That's it. This is going to be a cheat sheet for you to be able to use as we put this together with our Create a Continent project. So, let's give you an example. The very first thing I want to do is I want to take a look, and it looks like tropical wet is going to be my very first part that I'm going to be taking a look at that's here. So I'm going to write at the very top of what I have here, tropical wet. So that's going at the very top of my climate zone, one of the boxes, my foldable. The next thing, since I need a picture here, I can do one of two things. I can either roll through and get a picture from the internet. It has to be colored. Or I could go on ahead like this student has done here, and I can go through and draw the climate zone for what it looks like. It's your choice. It just needs to be colored. So either you can draw it by hand or you can get it from the internet. Once you've done that, now I'm going to need to describe the climate zone. Well, where are you going to find your descriptions? They're right here above the map, and from page 60 to 61, and then you'll find the others on 62 and 63 in your textbook. So let's focus just on tropical wet that's here, and let's read through a description so that we have an idea of what this looks like. Give me a second to zoom in on the page width so you can read it with me. Tropical wet. This subregion has little variation in temperature over the year. It's always hot with an average temperature of 80 degrees. The days begin sunny, but by afternoon have clouded up, and the rain falls almost daily. The average amount of rain in a year is more than 80 inches, and tropical wet climates are found in Central and South America, as well as Africa and Southwest Asia. Now, if I'm taking a look at that description, I'm not concerned about where it's located, because we're going to do that later on, but I'm more concerned about the description that's here, this area right here. So I want to summarize it into my own words, and so I know keywords that I've got are little variation in temperature. I've got hot climate. I know it's an average temperature of about 80 degrees, and it gets a ton of rainfall almost daily, with it being about 80 inches. So if I'm reading that description, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to give the entire page width. I'm going to go to my climate foldable box, and it says describe the climate zone. So here's my example. You're more than welcome to use this. Little change in temperature, with days being averaging about 80 degrees, and lots of, and I'm going to add this, daily rainfall at 80 inches per year. Okay? So with that, I have just described that tropical wet climate zone that's here. Once I've done describing it and I've used some of my own words that are in here, now I've got to go through the last part, and that's naming the latitude zone. I'm just naming it. So here's what I do. I find where my tropical wet is, which is red here, and then I'm going to look at the map and figure out what climate zone or what latitude zone I'm in. Now again, we're talking about latitude zones like I talked about. Yellow would be tropical. In between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, you've got your mid and then your high. So if I'm taking a look here, I'm going to notice that the red happens to be between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. Now if you're wondering where's these lines of Bayesian, you'll notice the dotted line that's right here. That's the Tropic of Cancer, and the dotted line here is the Tropic of Capricorn. You're going to notice the red falls in between both of those. If I'm looking for let's say my Arctic circle, you're going to notice it's up here, the dotted line, and the Antarctic circle down here. So you're going to have to determine what latitude zones we find these in. So we know that the tropical wet is found all in the tropical area. So what I'm going to do is just write tropical latitude. That's it. I don't have to write anything else. I don't have to write what continents it is. It just needs tropical latitude. Now keep in mind this, I have said that you have to name the latitude zone or zones. So let's use another example. Let's say that you've got a desert climate zone that's here. Well, if I'm looking at my map and I notice that I've got, let me get my pen here, the Tropic of Cancer, that's right here, and the Tropic of Capricorn, which is right here, I'm going to notice that that desert climate is found both in the tropical area, but you'll notice it also is found in the mid-range as well. See this middle area right here? That's the middle area that I've drawn the line on. And then down here, I hope you like my sound effects, the middle latitude here with the desert climate. So it actually is in both climate zones. So again, if I'm taking a look at my notes that are here, you're going to find it in the tropical and the middle latitude zones. So I would be writing tropical and mid latitude zones here. Again, there's only 3 of them that you're doing. With that being said, I hope that gives you a better idea. You're going to do the same part for every single box that's here, following these directions with the tropical, like we did here with the tropical wet, much like you have the outline for every climate zone. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have further questions, you can always email me or talk with me in class, or usually at break, or catch me in the beginning part of lunch. I hope this has helped, and I will see you later.